having an autistic meltdown that might help you help others who are autistic, and if you're around them when they're having a meltdown. Because
now this is probably common sense, but when somebody's in the middle of a meltdown, that's not the best time to touch them. It is also not the best time to tell them to calm down. Have you noticed that when somebody is frustrated or they're angry or they're irritable, when you tell them to calm down, it makes them angrier? We know this, but sometimes you see somebody who's in the middle of a meltdown and you're like, calm down, relax, I can help. That's not going to help anything. And hopefully you watch the original video. That's why I put the creator's name there, so y'all can go back and watch the original video. The first thing that she mentioned is don't touch me. If I'm overstimulated and I'm frustrated, don't touch me. I think that's a good starting point. When it comes to meltdowns, for anybody, but especially an autistic meltdown, I think it's important for people to realize that in order to communicate with the person, we've got to reduce the irritability and the frustration. So with autism, when frustration and anxiety and irritability goes up like this, our ability to communicate goes down. So there's an inverse relationship. So the more frustrated you are, the more difficult it is to communicate. On top of that, autism means that the way that you communicate with the world is different from how a neurotypical person would communicate. So at baseline, we already have differences in communication. So that frustration is already going to be there. If you're even more frustrated for whatever reason, you're not going to be able to say much. So the person who is in the middle of a meltdown is probably not going to have the words for you. They won't be able to let you know how they feel in the moment. So it presents an interesting challenge because now we have to help somebody calm down. We have to help somebody relax, but we don't quite know how to do that. So number one, don't touch them. Number two, don't think that you can talk your way out of the issue. It's important to be empathetic and to adjust the environment if possible. If somebody is frustrated because they're dealing with sensory overload, it could be helpful to cut the lights, maybe reduce the blaring music that's playing in the background, maybe get them to a space where things are not so loud and they can relax and they can breathe. You often have to work indirectly to help somebody who is in the middle of a meltdown. And honestly, just sitting there with a person in silence can be helpful. Think about times when you've been frustrated in the past and you're just having a day and nothing can be said to help you out. Nothing can be done to help you out. Of course, if somebody came with a Brinks truck full of money, $1 million, yeah, that would make you feel better. But for the most part, nothing is helping you out and you're just frustrated. On those days, it feels pretty good when a close friend comes over to the house and they just sit there with you in silence. That's one key thing about neurodivergent friendships. You're often able to just sit there in silence and just relax and not say a word, and sometimes less is more. And when it comes to autistic meltdowns, and meltdowns in general, I do think that less is more. We don't have to overcompensate by trying to touch a person or adjust their positioning or telling them to relax. Not that's going to work. The best thing that you can do is to do less and to try and increase your understanding, because that's what's going to solve the problem long term.